Purpose of the Learning and Development Hub, first of all, is to provide enrolment support. So as you will have, if you're recently started the CPCF and also if you started the RCO, you will have had to go through a certain process. And the feedback that we've had so far is sometimes that process isn't always it's not always immediately clear what it is that you need to be doing and when you need to be doing it. So the support that we'll aim to provide in future will be a kind of a list of things that you need to do and dates that you need to do it by, signposting, that kind of thing, and just sharing previous experiences where people have maybe struggled with something and then muddled their way through. Hopefully we'll be able to benefit in future from that experience. Facilitation of regional training and competency development. So I'll touch on this in more detail in future, as part of this presentation. But yes, essentially we'll hope to have a regional training program and opportunities to develop competency and demonstrate competency within the region, especially for those doing stage 2 where you have to fill out your portfolios. I think that's going to be quite important. So we'll look to facilitate opportunities to do that in future. Learning and planning support. So we've got some documents for you to use, and that will help you keep on track and plan your learning time around your work commitments as well. And we'll be profiling trading standard services within the region, which will hopefully facilitate collaboration opportunities. So a bit more information on that. It's just essentially to see where there's opportunities, where there's a lot of inspections or types of work going on in a particular area, and where it's possible for trainees to be able to go and experience that work in other local authorities within our region and perhaps even further. But that's potentially something in the future to look at. And also building a regional training network. So as we said, just trainees being able to talk to each other about what they're doing, what they've done previously, sharing information. We'll hope to facilitate that through our Teams group and also through regular meetings. So first of all, getting started on the Learning and Development Teams group. Most of you, if you're not from Norfolk, will have to access this as a guest. So if you've not already got access, send me an email. I'll send this presentation round as well, so you've got my contact information, but you should have it on this Teams group, this Teams meeting already. Send me a request to access and I will set you up on the team. You'll then receive an email from Microsoft Teams saying that you've been invited to join a new group. When you follow the instructions on the email, you will be asked to kind of set up a new Microsoft account or a new Microsoft user, something to that effect. I would just say not to worry. I've gone through with somebody already and it doesn't delete your old Teams or anything sort of inconvenient like that. It will just set you up as a guest on a new network, which will be the Norfolk County Council network. So if you follow the directions, and you'll need a mobile phone number, which is probably, there's other ways to do it, but it's probably the easiest. If you've got a mobile phone number, you'll get a verification code texted to your mobile number. It will use that to verify who you are and set you up. So that's what I would recommend doing. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Once you're on, you can familiarize yourself with the channels. So hopefully everyone's familiar with Teams to a certain extent, or at least to a basic level. When you join a team, there'll be a few channels, and I'll show you what that looks like in one of the next slides. You should be able to see the channel that's going to be most applicable to you. There might be a few. So if you're doing the CPCF, for example, there'll be a stage 1 and stage 2 channel, a general channel, and there'll also be individual unit channels for the ones that you're undertaking. So just familiarize with the channels applicable to your qualification. And then finally, if you've got any technical queries, I have a handbook which I can send you, which I've written out, which should answer any technical queries. But don't feel like you need to trawl through that to find the answer. If there's anything that you want to raise with me, please send me an email. At the end of the presentation, I've got my Teams number and my mobile number listed. So please don't hesitate to get in touch at any time. We'd be more than happy to help with any technical queries. Okay, so this might be a bit small, and what I'll do at the end is go through quickly and show you the Teams group on Teams itself. But when you're getting set up, when you're on, you should see the list of channels, which is in that picture below. And when you're set up and you want to flip between your networks, so when you're not using your local authority network and you want to switch over to the Norfolk one, that box outlined in red you should see at the top right hand side of your Teams screen. There should be a drop down available there where you can flick between your home network and your Norfolk County Council network. If anything happens on the Norfolk County Council network, which will be part of this new Teams group, you should see a red notification next to the Norfolk County Council section. That's how you know you get your that's how you know if you've got a notification. It's not as straightforward as using a Teams group in your own network, so it's not like you'll necessarily always get pinged on your desktop when it comes through. You might have to check that there's something that's been updated on there, unfortunately. And as I said, I'll send these slides through so you've got the pictures as well. Channel notifications. To get your notifications set up so they come through on email, you can just follow these steps. So one, select the channel that you're interested in following. So you click on the channel itself, and then two, click the three dots in the channel toolbar. That's in the top right corner. It's highlighted by the green box there. So you click on those three dots. Three, hover over channel notifications, which will bring over that menu to the left where you'll see all activity, off and customized. And then you select one of these two options below. So you can either select to get all activity notifications, so anything that happens on the Teams group you'll be notified with an email. That might be a little bit intrusive in your inbox if you're getting if it gets used a lot and you're getting emails all the time. You don't want to do that. You can select customize notifications. So in that menu option there, it should open a box for you, and then you can decide exactly what notifications you want to receive. It's not final, so if you want to play with that and make sure that it's tuned to exactly what you need, you can always go back and revisit it. But that's how you change your notifications essentially. And then the next section that you'll see on any channel is posts. As you can see on the toolbar there, posts highlighted at the top next to the general channel name. That is where any changes will be posted. So if I make any changes to any of the channel features, it will come up automatically on the posts. You can also post things there yourselves if you've got some information that might be useful to other students or trainees. You can post it there, and I might also post other information there as well. So if you set your notifications to to receive information on posts from a specific channel, you should get an email every time that's updated. I might also include as we go information on training sessions, learning resources that have been developed, and any other events that might be useful to trainees. So that should be your one-stop shop for notifications. Files, files section will be clearly labelled, and when I say clearly labelled, you should be able to see exactly what files are where in relation to how you might use them. So one of the things that I found when I was asking what people wanted to see from the learning and development side of things was that finding documents on the CTSI website is not always the easiest thing. It might be that they're there, but they're quite difficult to navigate. And if you've not got a CTSI login, they're blocked off. All those problems should be easily resolved in this file section. They'll be labeled according to how you might want to use them. And as you can see from the image there, they're labeled with CPCF. If they're RCO, they'll be RCO. So there's, it'll be clear where they all are essentially. If you've got any documents that might be useful to other students, you can post them in the post section, as mentioned earlier, or you can just send them through to me and I can store them on there for you. Wherever you've got my name highlighted in this presentation, it will click through to an email with the subject already set up. So you can just send me exactly what it is you're looking for and click on whatever link is most helpful in the presentation. So that's files. Useful links and web pages is essentially the same thing. There might be links to websites or resources that might be useful. They're all listed as will be helpful in the relevant channels. Where you've got that general tab, we've got CTSI and CSA resources. You can use the all items section at the top right to filter between CTSI and CSA. And as we develop the links and the folders, as that gets bigger, we'll just make sure that it is clearly labeled and easily easy to filter between the resources. So no matter how much we have on there, it should always be easy and intuitive to access. So these links are kept, they'll always be labeled useful links and web pages in whatever channel you're in. So this is the general channel, as you can see from top left, and then along the menu at the top, useful links and web pages. That's always how it'll be labeled in each channel. Videos. So videos can be stored and they'll be labeled with the video name. So each time we want to put video on Teams, like this one will be put on the general channel for the MS Teams group. They have to be labeled with the name of the presentation. So you can see there at the top, it's the RCO presentation, and it's for the level 4 RCO apprenticeship. And that was done by Mark Buckley, who very kindly came along and gave an overview of the apprenticeship and what to expect. So if you've not seen that already, it might be worth checking that video out. The meeting was about an hour long and there was a Q&A at the end, so similar format to this one, but exclusively on the RCO, and as provided by the CSA rather than from an EETSA perspective. So as we add videos, that's how they'll be stored, and you should just cycle through on the top right to see if there's any videos that you that might be of use to you. Yammer communities. So to be honest with the Yammer communities, I'm not 100% sure that guests can see them. If you can, this is how it will be stored. So this is an example. It's on the CPCF stage 1 channel, and as you go across to the right on the toolbar at the top, you should see an EETSA CPCF discussion forum. Now, I'm hoping what we can use these for is students communicating with students. If you've got a question, you can post it there, and then a student, another trainee or an apprentice will be able to answer that or link to the resource that you're looking for. You can do polls, you can praise and answer. So if there's a particularly useful piece of information that you want to highlight as something that other people should see, you can praise it, and then maybe I can pin that or store the information elsewhere so it's accessible. But essentially it's like a very basic social media page for trainees and students. So hopefully that's useful. What I would say about these groups, as I said, I'm not sure guests can access them. So if you can't access that, let me know, and perhaps we can have a look together and see if we can get guest access to that. If you can see it and it's there, that's brilliant. But if it's going to be a problem down the line that it's not useful for people outside of the Norfolk network, then we will look at another way of doing this. So don't worry if you can't see it, but please do let me know, and we'll make sure that there's a workaround for that. And if you've got any feedback generally on what you would like to see from regional communication, perhaps a different method of doing that. So if you would prefer to talk to people on WhatsApp groups, that kind of thing, again, just let me know, and we'll facilitate the best way for trainees to keep in touch with each other in the region. But hopefully that Yammer group will be useful. And then the Learning and Development Hub webpage, which has been constructed on SharePoint, that is on the general tab, general channel only at the moment. And then if you cycle across on the toolbar at the top, you should see a tab called Home, and that will bring you through to this sort of very cheesy looking stock image and the homepage for the Development Hub. It provides an overview of all of basically what I'm covering in this presentation. It's all kind of bullet pointed underneath as you scroll down on this page, and it contains an overview of the support on offer. As you scroll down, there's an MS Forms questionnaire, and if you click through to that, you can fill that out, and it will provide me with the information on where you're at with your qualification and what kind of resources you're looking for from the region. Sorry, just reading that slide. Yeah, so it will be updated periodically, and as it's useful for trainees. When it is updated, it will be posted in the post section. You should get a notification if you've got that set up on the general channel. Yeah, so as I said, we'll have a look at that after the presentation, just so you know what it all looks like. And then this is the questionnaire. If you go through to the questionnaire link on that page, it will just ask you a series of questions, including what qualifications you're undertaking, what support you're looking for, and then you'll receive from me, after filling that out, documents which are bespoke, which will be designed to help you plan your study time, keep an eye on deadlines, and monitor progress on your learning objectives as well. So that will be tailored to exactly what it is that you're doing. The documents that we've got that will be useful for students, hopefully, is the module start to finish checklist. That is just a list of all the things that you need to do, including when you need to sign up for exams, when you need to attend your training days, and where you should be at any kind of given point in your exam cycle. So it should just hopefully be a tool that you can use to keep yourself in check, and also might be useful for one-to-ones with managers as well. So you can quickly have a look, right, where is it, should we be, where are we actually, what can we do, if we need to catch up with anything, you know, what needs to be done. It's going to be a good tool to kind of see where you're at and where you need to be. A time management assistant, which is essentially a calendar where you can plug in your learning time. Each of the CPCF modules has a specific amount of learning. With stage 1, I think it's generally 135 hours between registration and completion. And then for the stage 2 modules, I think it's 200 hours for each module. So that time management assistant document enables you to kind of plan in how much time you're spending on each module. It's not to be used necessarily as your calendar instead of your Outlook one, but you might want to use that just so you kind of have an understanding of how much study time you need to do alongside your work commitments. So it's a good visual tool for that. And the CPCF study plan creation assistant, that goes into more detail on the course specifics, the learning outcomes as specified by the course provider. You should be able to look through that, see what it is that you need to achieve within the module, and then it gives you a section to write in how you're going to achieve those learning outcomes, whether that's through additional training, whether that's doing a certain type of trading standards work within your team. And it will also give you a chance to identify your needs. If there's something that you need to do the best you possibly can on your module, but it's not something that's easily achievable within your own local authority, just because that type of work doesn't, you know, go on where you are, for example, then at that point you can send that back to me and we can have a look at trying to find those opportunities elsewhere within the region. Okay, and then what we're going to do is have another section to the SharePoint website, which will have the service profiles for the local authorities. This is going to be largely based on the competencies matrix which EETSA has developed prior to my arrival. I think it's just to show where there's certain types of work going on and to what extent the local authority is able to carry that out. Where there's strong competencies, we'll put a service profile together for each local authority, and also be able to identify areas where some local authorities might need some more support in terms of training trainees. So that will be detailed, roughly speaking, in these service profiles. So you've got an idea of who to contact about what type of support you need. And also you can contact me about that as well directly, and I'll be happy to facilitate any kind of coordination on trainees in other local authorities. Future development. So as I said, regional training program, hoping to develop that over the coming months, and part of that will be supporting all officers, but it will also be made to complement the courses that we know are ongoing with trainees. So got an idea of how many trainees we've got in the region and what everyone's doing. So the training program should reflect that. There should be opportunities that complement the courses that you're doing. We'll expand this for the qualifications as needed. So at the moment, the resources are mainly for the RCO apprenticeship and for the CPCF stage 1 and 2 qualifications. If, for example, there's interest in the animal health and welfare course, which is a standalone module that CTSI provides, then we can look to build some resources around that. Equally, if someone does do stage 3, I don't think there's anyone doing stage 3 at the moment, but if someone does do that and needs some regional support, then we can certainly look at that as well. And if there's anything else that anyone is doing in terms of traineeships, and apprenticeships, then we can always look to build that into the regional support that's provided. The thing would just be letting me know in as much advance notice as possible if someone in your team is doing a qualification that there isn't any resources around currently, and we'll look to facilitate that. And the other thing is regular coffee and catch-up trainee apprenticeship meetings. This will be, as I said, an informal meeting. It's not going to be something where there's an agenda or quizzes or anything like that. It will be mainly for trainees to catch up, share what's going on with their qualification. It could be a social thing, it could be a Friday afternoon thing, and the first one will set up with a bit of structure and then hopefully ease off, just depending on what trainees want to get out of those sessions. It could just be an informal chat start to finish, but whatever's most useful essentially. And if you've got any suggestions on that, on the format for those meetings, please do email me, and I'll be happy to facilitate whatever it is that people are looking for. So before I move on to questions, let me just quickly come out of that slideshow and I will show you some of the resources that we've gone through. So I'm just going to share my Teams screen with you first. So this is the general tab here, and as I mentioned, these are the posts that we've had so far. It's not been used so much. That is going to start changing as we start posting more information on this group, and these are the channels just down here. So as you can see, CPCF stage 1, and then the units for stage 1, stage 2, units for stage 2, and then at the bottom CSA RCO apprenticeship page. So the resources in each channel are specific to those qualifications and modules. Files are stored here. These are all the CPCF and RCO resources. There'll be a lot of duplication between these channels as well. So all of the CPCF resources will be duplicated, but just in as far as they're relevant to the individual stages and units. And that's the same for the RCO. The RCO resources will be duplicated in the RCO channel. Useful links and web pages there. Some of this might take a little while to load on your computers as well. I think I've overloaded it to an extent, but hopefully it should be useful and it will load eventually. As I said, these are the links here. You can filter there, as you can see. You've got all items, and then you've got CSA RCO links specifically, CTSI links specifically. So it should be possible to filter by what you need, and then to click on the links that are relevant to you. As we add to that, there'll be more filtering options available. And then finally, this is the home tab here. So as I said, these are the details of what we're hoping to support in terms of regional training, FAQs as well. As I get questions, I will update an FAQ section to make sure that information's useful for other trainees as well. So service profiles, which I'll scroll down to. And facilitating opportunities for apprentices to gain experience and competencies across the region. Trainee learning plans, which I mentioned, there's the assessment form there. You just fill out, you click to that will take you through to the Teams, the Microsoft Forms document. You fill that out and then it will come through to me and I can send you through the documents bespoke to your qualifications. Information for apprentices and trainees. These are just the websites. CTSI competency framework is linked here. CSA regional compliance officer apprenticeship is linked there. These are the links to the YAMA discussion groups which I mentioned earlier. You probably won't be able to access them through there if you're not on Norfolk. If you want to access those, you are better off going to your individual stages and units, and then there is the discussion forum on YAMA as its own page here. So as I said, you can start a discussion, you can ask a question, you can praise somebody's contribution, or you can start a poll. I might use that from time to time so you can interact with that as well, and anything that's particularly useful will be pinned here. So when you have a chance to look at this, that is just an explanation of what the group can be used for if you want to come back to that. So that's the YAMA groups there. I'll just navigate back to the home section on the general channel. And then these are the service profiles here. So these haven't been filled out yet because I've not got the permission for everyone to from each local authority to share their competencies and the areas where they might be looking for support and training. But when we have that information agreed, we'll be storing it on here. I will show you the Norfolk one quickly, just to let everyone know in advance. It is an example. It is not based on the competencies matrix for Norfolk. It is just an example of what it might look like when one is filled out. So it's mainly for the format that we're looking at this. So you can click through to say you're a neighbouring authority of Norfolk and you want to see if there's any opportunities available for potential competencies development. That's what Norfolk might be able to offer, and that's what they might be looking for, and then contact information here. The way the contact information will work is if there is a single point of contact for trainees to get in touch with directly, then I'll put that there. But if the local authority would prefer to do everything via me as the coordinator, then I will put my contact information there and you can talk to me about any opportunities that you're looking for. I will not store anything on here, as I said, without the permission of the local authority. So if you do see something on the service profile, it will be because it's the local authority has given permission for it to be there. So that is the Teams group. I'll just quickly show you the RCO channel as well, just because you've got the video on this one. So if you click through to that tab at the top, might take a little while because it's a big file, but you've got the video there, and that is the presentation and Q&A on the RCO apprenticeship. As videos are added, that's how they'll be stored at the top there. So I'll just come out of the Teams group and I will show you the documents that we've got available as spreadsheets to support planning and planning and what's the word I'm looking for? Learning objectives in the details. So I will start with the time management assistant. So hopefully you can now see a spreadsheet on my screen. Brilliant. So this is your class schedule, acts as a calendar. As you can see, we're currently in Monday at 1:30, and this person would be doing their Unit 2 studying around this time. If you want to add another class in, you can do that. There's a drop down. This drop down will only feature the modules you've signed up for. So say you are doing a Unit 4 product safety, and you're going to be doing that on Thursday from home. And you're going to do that from 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. Once you've filled that out, 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. will be blocked off for product safety. As I said, it's not to replace your current calendar. It's just to kind of give you an idea of how much time you're going to need to dedicate to each module and how much time that gives you to work and you know sleep and eat and all those important things. So hopefully should give you and your manager an idea of how much time needs to be dedicated to what. So I'll just get the next document. This next one is going to be the module start to finish checklist. So this one is going to be especially useful in future for managers if you've got a trainee who's starting and you and they are both unsure of the process for the qualification you're starting. This checklist should give you a run through of everything you need to do and when. So this starts with completing the registration for the module, which for the CPCF module should already be done for the May exam cycle. The start dates and the deadlines are both conditional formatted. So if that start date is going to move and it's actually going to be the 1st of December, then it goes white again. The yellow is just to let you know that that's upcoming. And then if you have a deadline that you've missed, it will go red. But if you change your status there on that activity to completed, the whole row will go green, just to let you know that you've got nothing coming up. So if you see yellow and red, it's either because you've not updated your current status to show that you've completed that, or it's to show that you've got a deadline upcoming and that you might need to take some action to hit the target for that. Just to show you as well, if you're unable to complete, that will go red. You can send that back to me so I can see what it is you're having trouble with. It can be used as a tool for communication between local and regional, or you can say no longer relevant, and then that will grey it out just so you know you've not completed it, but you're no longer working on it. So hopefully it kind of covers every eventuality, and it makes it easy to see where you're at. If you're a learner like me, colours make much more impact than words do, and it's just easier to kind of to see where you're at a glance using this kind of system. So the last one that I mentioned was the study plan creation assistant. I'll just share that quickly as well. There we go. So this one's a lot more wordy, and it on the surface might look a bit sort of intense, but hopefully it's possible to kind of use this. You can look at each aspect of the qualification outlined by the qualification provider, and line by line you can go through this and say how you're going to address it, what your plan is to get practical experience as it's needed, a progress update, so you can say partially completed, or some support required. And again, you can send these documents back to me to show where you've got progress that you're needing some support on. If you want to do it that way, that's the option. You can just update the spreadsheet and send it through to me in an email. And again, additional resources or support required. So if you're struggling to do a certain aspect of a qualification, you can use this document to show me exactly where it is you're struggling with it. If you don't want to use any of these tools because they're just not the way you learn, that's not a problem. None of this is prescriptive. It is purely just to be used as a tool for managers and for trainees, to make sure that you've got everything you need to plan in the way that you want to do it. If you would find other forms of regional support available that are not there, or if you would see another kind of template, another document that you would find more accessible, more useful, please do let me know. These are not set in stone by any means. I'm happy to make more resources, different resources based on individual learning styles, whatever is needed. I will look to do it wherever I can. So if this is not useful for you, don't worry, we can work something else out. But hopefully they're a good place to get started, especially if you're really not sure what's going on and what comes next. This should hopefully give you a bit of oversight as to what's what you need to do to get from start to finish in all these qualifications. Okay, so that is all the resources, and I think that just leaves around sort of 15-20 minutes for Q&A. So if there's anything that you're unsure of, any questions you have, any ideas that you might have that you'd like me to take forward, if you just want to raise your hand on Teams, and then I can come through in a first come first serve order. Emily.
Yeah, hi. I guess it's more just of a comment really, in that I think some of the tools that you just went through are going to be really useful, especially for stage 2, when there's, you've got your portfolios to do and there's quite a lot of different things that you've got to spin. And I think just having it all in one place and being able to keep track of that is going to be really handy for people. I was just wondering with the team stuff, because obviously hopefully at some point I won't be a trainee anymore. Will that sort of access just be ongoing, or how will that work?
Yeah, absolutely, it will be ongoing. I think it's not going to be exclusive to trainees, full stop. If there's somebody who might be able to get something out of the resources that are available, but they're a TSO, they've not entered into any qualifications recently, I would still want them to have access to that, and they equally might have something really useful to contribute to people who are doing their qualifications. So it's definitely a more merrier situation. You won't be booted out of the Teams group when you finish training.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, well, there are no other hands up, so hopefully if you do have any questions, as I said, you've got my contact information. I'm just going to share that on the screen very quickly, because I said I'd share my my contact numbers as well. So just bear with me. There we go. So if you wanted to make a note of it, if you call that landline number, you'll come through to me on Teams. So that might be the easiest way to contact me. But a mobile number there as well, and my email address, and I'll send through the presentation slides to everyone who's attended today, and I will store all that information on the Microsoft Teams group. And yeah, if you haven't got access to it yet and you'd like to be put on the Teams group, just drop me a message and I'll get that set up for you. And I'm happy to talk through any technical queries on a Zoom call, because apparently you cannot switch networks and stay on the Teams call that you're on. It will hang up. So I can set up Zoom calls for anyone who wants some help getting set up in person. But that is everything. So thanks very much for coming along. And if you have any contacts that you'd like to make in other local authorities as well, let me know and I can facilitate that as well. So thanks very much.